Well, dear students, today we'll just discuss something about these alkenes. Because we have discussed enough of alkenes, they are saturated hydrocarbons. Now coming to the unsaturated part of hydrocarbons. First being alkenes. What are alkenes? Alkenes are unsaturated hydrocarbons with a double bond, with one double bond in the structure. In alkanes, all the carbon atoms are interlinked by single bonds only. But coming to alkenes, you find a double bond. Double bond means shortage of hydrogen atoms. How many? Two hydrogen atoms shortage. As a result of which, you find the occurrence of a double bond. When I just take up the structure, I'll just make it very clear. To start with, what are alkenes? Alkenes are unsaturated hydrocarbons with a double bond in their structure. The second point is, they are also called olefins. Why are they called olefins? They are called olefins because it is a Latin word which means oily in nature. After the fifth compound in alkene series, all of them are oily in nature. Therefore, they are referred to as what are called olefins. Sometimes they are called olefins also. Then coming to the next characteristic. Here all the members end with Ene. That's also another point. The first member is not methane. Methane doesn't exist. When you write the structure, you'll be able to understand it is not possible. Ethene, the first member is ethene with the formula C2H4, followed by propene, butene, pentene, hexene, heptene, octene, nonene, decene. This is IUPAC name. IUC name is altogether different. It's called ethylene, propylene, butylene, pentylene, hexylene, heptylene, octylene, nonylene, of course decylene. So it is like that only. And then they are represented by the general formula. You can write the general formula with this one, CnH2n. I've already told you there is shortage of two hydrogen atoms. CnH2n plus 2 is general formula of alkanes. Since there is a shortage of two hydrogen atoms here, unsaturation comes in here. CnH2n plus 2 minus 2 plus 2 minus 2 cancel CnH2n. That is the general formula of alkenes. So the moment shortage of hydrogen atoms occurs, unsaturation begins. So unsaturation means shortage of hydrogen atoms in the molecules on the structure. You'll be able to see that one. And then that is the general formula is CnH2n. You can see that one. I have written all the characteristics correctly. They are unsaturated. They are unsaturated hydrocarbons with a double bond in the structure. And then they are also called olefins or olefins. Since all they, of course, here they are meaning oily in nature. And then all the members end with Ene. And then they have the general molecular formula CnH2n. Then coming to the structure, you will be able to see the structure. Structurally, very, very important. The first one is ethene. Nodi, C. Double bond C yakbantu nodi. Adjacent, of course, hydrogen atoms are there. At the top, I have written two hydrogen atoms. At the bottom, it is not possible actually to write the hydrogen atoms. With the result, you find that what the double bond occurs. You are able to see that. I have just written, nodi. I had written hydrogen atoms there to start with. I removed it. Those shortage of two hydrogen, just to show two hydrogen atoms, that is how a double bond occurs there. That is, those two electrons, unpaired electrons are shared between the two adjacent carbon atoms. With the result, you find a double bond. A double bond represents sharing of 4 electrons between the two adjacent carbon atoms. Coming to the next structure, you are able to see that. You are able to see the next structure. That is a propene. Propene has the formula C3H4. C bond C and triple bond C. Between the second carbon atom and the third carbon atom, I have written two double bond there. And underneath it, you don't find the two hydrogen atoms, two unpaired electrons. That is, they have been shared between the two adjacent carbon atoms. That you find at the last there. And there's how a double bond occurs between, we can see that the last two carbon atoms. And otherwise, hydrogen atoms are there. And similarly, I have just written butene and pentene also. So while writing the structure, you can just see that between the last two carbon atoms, you can put a double bond, and you can show that shortage of two hydrogen atoms at the bottom. I hope you have just understood the structure. That means if a double bond occurs, I call that hydrocarbon, which one? Alkene. Alkenes are unsaturated hydrocarbons with a double bond in the structure. Similarly, I shall pass on to the next one, that is alkynes. Now comes the question, what are alkynes? They are also unsaturated hydrocarbons, but more unsaturated than alkenes. Means there is a greater shortage of hydrogen atoms. There is a greater shortage of hydrogen atoms. Shortage of 4 hydrogen atoms there you find in the structure there. Thereby you find another 2 bonds along with a single bond. With the result, you find a triple bond between the 2 adjacent carbon atoms. That is, a 1 triple bond occurs in the structure of alkynes. I will show that one. But to start with, what is the first characteristic? Alkynes are more unsaturated than alkenes. They are more unsaturated hydrocarbons than alkenes. The second characteristic is they have a triple bond in their structure. That's very important. By looking at the bond that they have, you can easily judge whether they are alkane, alkene, alkyne. If all the carbon atoms are interlinked by single bonds only, I can conclude that it is alkane, they are saturated hydrocarbon. If you find a double bond in the structure, you can come to the conclusion that it is alkene. And if you find a triple bond in the structure, you can come to conclusion that it is alkyne. And thereby, they have a triple bond in the structure. And then, they are also called acetylenes because the first member of the family is called acetylene. Originally called ethine. Ethine is the first member. Otherwise called acetylene. And therefore, the entire family is called acetylene family. And then all the members end with ONE. In the case of alkanes, all the members end with ANE. In the case of alkenes, all the members end with ENE. In the case of alkynes, all the members end with ONE. Once again, the starting member is ethine only, because sharing should take place here. And ethine, the formula is C2H2, that is acetylene, followed by propyne, butane, pentane, hexyne, heptine, octane, nonine, decyne. I have just told you about 9 compounds here. And then they have the general molecular formula. I have already told you there is a shortage of 4 hydrogen atoms. Therefore, the original formula is CnH2n plus 2. It refers to saturated hydrocarbon. When there is a shortage of 4 hydrogen atoms, I can say that H2n plus 2 minus 4. Plus 2 minus 4 is minus 2. Therefore, the general formula comes up to CnH2n minus 2. So, they are the characteristics I have written. Once again, I go through it. Please see that one. They are more unsaturated than which one? Alkenes. And they have a triple bond in the structure I have just told you. And all the members, and they are also called what you call, which one? Acetylenes. Because all the members, of course, here, the first member of the family is acetylene, and the entire family is called acetylene family. And then all the members end with ONE, and you must know that. And then they have the general molecular formula CnH2n minus 2. Now I written structure there. The first one is ethine. Ethine means you must understand that uh, ethine. Ethine means you must understand that it is acetylene. The structure is C triple bond C. You can see the shortage of 4 hydrogen atoms. For those 2 carbon atoms, at the top you don't find you find the unpaired electrons. At the bottom also you find unpaired electrons. That means they don't have hydrogen atoms there, and therefore you find another bond, 2 more bonds along with the single bond occurs there. With the result, you find a triple bond between the 2 carbon atoms, adjacent carbon atoms. That's the way triple bond occurs. Likewise, you find this one in propane, then butane, and hexane also. I have not just written the formula for, of course, butane, then a pentane, trazine, and you find that a triple bond is there between the 2 carbon atoms at the last, you must understand, last pair of carbon atoms will have triple bond. Where you don't find, there is a shortage of hydrogen, 4 hydrogen atoms, you can see that. With the result, you find that a triple bond occurs between the 2 adjacent carbon atoms. So much about alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. Suppose they ask you to find out or to differentiate, or they may ask you what are the differences between alkenes and alkynes. You can have actually 3 columns there: alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. The first column is alkane. They are saturated hydrocarbons. Alkenes, they are unsaturated hydrocarbons with a double bond in the structure. And then alkynes, they are unsaturated hydrocarbons with a triple bond in the structure. That is the first difference. Coming to the second difference. Alkanes are also called paraffins. Alkenes are also called olefins. And alkynes are also called acetylenes. That is the second difference. The third difference is alkanes have the general molecular formula CnH2n plus 2. Alkenes have the general molecular formula CnH2n, that is shortage of only 2 hydrogen atoms there. And then in the case of alkynes, CnH2n minus 2 is the general formula, general molecular formula. The last difference is, in the case of alkanes, all the members end with Ane. In the case of alkenes, all the members end with Ene. And with respect to alkynes, all the members end with Yne. That is how you can just say there are 4 differences between alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. So much so, students. And in the next class, I'll take furthermore with respect to hydrocarbons. Thank you. Bye.